Welcome to whofooadventures. This is the next video in our continuing series on the Sedona Vegfest 2020.
In this video, Colleen Patrick-Goudreau shares with us how to be a joyful vegan.
Yes.
And as I was doing this, what I discovered was that people really do want to make a change. They just don't know how. Everybody asks me the same questions. What do I do? Where do I shop? What do I cook? How do I talk to my family? What about holidays? What about when I'm traveling? What about protein? What about protein? What about protein? What about protein? I figured, okay, I figured out this information. I know it's out there, but people really want to know the answers to these questions, and there's clearly a lot of myths. And the thing that makes my life really easy is that it's the same questions over and over and over again. There's nothing new under the sun that I have not heard in relation to the challenges and the excuses and the misconceptions and myths around not eating animal products. And so it makes my life a lot easier. So I realize that people do want to know how to make the change. They want to make a change. They don't want to feel unhealthy. They don't want to contribute to disease. They don't want to contribute to cruelty against animals. They don't want to contribute to global depletion and to greenhouse gases and to rainforests being cut down. We live in a culture that makes it easy for us to make the most convenient choices, but not the most healthful and compassionate choices. We are creatures of habit. And the second you consider doing something different, I believe that it's not just being vegan or plant-based or not eating animal products that is overwhelming for people, it's change. And we resist change. We don't know what to do, we don't know what's on the other side of change, especially when it's something so daunting, especially when it's something that you've heard your whole life being wrong or bad or unhealthy, right? And so there's a lot of fear. The 30-Day Vegan Challenge came out of this understanding and awareness that people need to be guided, they just need their hands held, and I am a firm believer in the behavior changes that take place within a 30-day period. Very much. It doesn't work if you just say, I'm going to cut down. I'm going to eat less. I have never met anybody who doesn't say they don't eat a lot of meat, dairy, and eggs. Never. Everyone has this perception of themselves that they don't eat a lot of meat, dairy, and eggs. Before you start making this change, is just take 3 days to look at your food diary and really see what you are eating in that 3-day period. What would you have for breakfast? What would you have for lunch? What would you have for dinner? What would you have for snacks in between, etc., right? Because we are consuming more than we ever have. It's unprecedented how much animal products we eat. And as much as we are conditioned by the industry and by marketing and by advertising and by policies and by politics around eating meat, dairy, and eggs, the truth is it comes down to us and our own decisions. No one knows nutrition like the person you just told that you're vegan. They seem to know everything about nutrition at that moment. Because we're all taught the same thing. We're taught that the nutrients we need are animal-based. We're not taught that the nutrients we need are plant-based. But we're taught that we're supposed to get our protein from meat, from eggs, from animal products. If I were to ask you where we're supposed to get our calcium, you would say cow's milk, right? Specifically animal milk, right? Not even our own human milk. We're told that it's, obviously animal milk. Where we get our omega-3 fatty acids, right, fish, etc. So we're all hearing the same things. And yet, right now, what we're doing is we're going through the animals to get to the nutrients that the animals got because the animals ate plants. Literally. These are all plant-based nutrients. But in short, the only nutrient we need that is not plant-based is vitamin B12, but it's not animal-based either. It's from bacteria, right? So there are no nutrients that we need from animals. So what we need to do is skip the middle animal and go directly to the source. Same thing with all of the food, right? I mean, we do have this notion that there's like regular food over here and vegan food over here, as if it's its own separate food group. And some of it is the way we talk about it, right, our language about it, and that the barometer by which we have to measure everything is animal products, right? When in reality, vegan food is fruits, vegetables, nuts, seeds, beans, mushrooms, grains, herbs, and spices. I wish someday is just for everybody to stop saying vegan food. Like, I mean, I go to vegan events and there's like signs that say vegan food. I have friends and they're like, I've been to this restaurant, it's really good. I got a vegan burger and the vegan cake and it was a really good restaurant. I'm like, I know you got the vegan food, you're vegan. Like, so you don't have to say vegan. Just say food, just say cake. Just say, right, do you eat a vegan banana? Like, we don't eat vegan apples. Like, we just eat apples. Like, we need to just take this out of that box called vegan so it doesn't sound so daunting and sound so different, because that's what people perceive. You know, people have said, I don't think I've ever had vegan food. If you've had an apple, you've had vegan food. Then there is all the cooking. People say, I want to eat more vegetables, but it's going to take so long to chop vegetables. Like, this is literally what people are complaining about, that it takes too long to chop vegetables, right? And yet we have the time to get in a car and drive to a restaurant, look for a parking spot, wait for a table, sit at the table, decide what to order, wait for the food, and then drive back home again. We probably have some time to chop some vegetables. Am I right? So, because people really do quite literally complain about it. So much so that now there are supermarkets that sell vegetables already chopped in advance, because you're just too tired to chop vegetables. So you pay more money for food that's not as fresh because it's already chopped. Like, how do you keep vegetables from going bad in the refrigerator? I get the vegetables, I put them in the refrigerator. How do you get them to stop going bad? First of all, stop using your refrigerator as a compost bin. Second of all, eat them. It is not complicated. I'm a firm believer, and a lot of this is just shifting the way we think about things, that a lot of the things we complain about that we think takes too much time, it really just takes a change in thinking. So I believe that you should always know what you're going to have for dinner at breakfast time, for sure, maybe dinner time the night before, so that you're always planning ahead. You're chopping an onion for a recipe, chop 2 onions. You've got one on the counter, you've got the cutting board out, you've got the knife out, chop 2. Put one in a refrigerator, and then put the other one in your recipe, right? When you come home from the grocery store, instead of putting all of your vegetables in the refrigerator, truly, this is just it's revolutionary. Take 10 minutes to chop them first. And it really makes a difference. Just chop up an onion, chop up a pepper, chop up some garlic, chop up some whatever, so that when you open that refrigerator, you don't stand there complaining that you have nothing to eat, but rather you have what you need to then put in a recipe. A soup, a stir fry, whatever it is, right? We should always know in advance what we're having later on. And that doesn't take time, that just takes thinking. And these are little tricks that we can all do because we're such creatures of habit. If you are single, cook for 2 people. If you are a family of 2, cook for 4. We should always have leftovers so that we're always, again, thinking ahead and having something ahead, right? Cook, in bulk, freeze the food that you make. Have leftovers. It's just a matter of simple planning. And so people get hung up on wanting to do it perfectly and wanting to do it exactly right. There is no right way. There is no perfect way. I don't aspire to be as vegan as I can be. I aspire to be as compassionate as I can be. Because they think if they can't do everything perfectly, they'll do nothing at all. That's what happens. We do nothing at all when we think we have to do it all really well perfectly. People look at it and say, it's overwhelming, there's no way I can do that. Okay, so do something. The idea that we do nothing at all because we think we have to do everything is self-defeating. Don't do nothing because you can't do everything. Do something. Anything. Anything at all. Every step you take will bring you closer to where you want to be and to the changes you want to make and to the health you want to achieve and to the animals you want to help. Whatever it is. Every bit counts. It just does, and don't let anybody tell you otherwise. Things are changing, things are shifting, I'm encouraged by that. But I still had to ask the hotel today if there was any kind of plant milk. And there was, in the refrigerator, in the back. Right? Do you have any soy milk? I have almond milk, great. Could I have some? Great. Let me go in the back, through this corridor, down the alley, and get it out of this low refrigerator. Thank you. I needed it again. I had to ask her again, and she went back and got it for me and came back out again. So when I checked out today, I said, thank you very much. Number 1, please have electric kettles for those of us who drink tea and don't want our tea to taste like coffee. Number 1. And he said, we actually have one in the back, and he told me this whole story. I'm like, I called last night for some hot water and there wasn't any. So good tip. He's going to implement it, so good. Number 2, and I told him, I said, get that plant milk out, put it next to the cow's milk. People will order it if they know it's an option. But one of the things people don't know, that they don't know they can ask for something. Right? They don't know that you can ask for something if it's not in front of you. You don't know that you can ask for something if it's not on the menu. To constantly feel like you have to answer questions about how you eat and why you eat. It can wear on you. It can start to feel like I'm just so tired of constantly, just swimming against the current and answering these questions and answering all of these myths. and my parents don't understand, and my family resists, and they haven't made any changes, and I have to be perfect, and all of these challenges that people have. And so I started looking at what these threads were. And the good news is that there are reasons that people struggle. There are reasons that people resist becoming vegan. There are reasons that people stop being vegan. There are reasons that people stop being joyful and hopeful. And the good news is that identifying what the reasons are, we can actually reverse them. And so I started looking at what these issues were, and most of them are social. What people struggle with is the social part. And so I started identifying what these were. And I put them into this book, and that's the new book, The Joyful Vegan. And I talk about them as stages, as 10 stages, these threads that run through all of our stories, whether you do it for health or whether you do it for the animals. And I call them stages, but they're not linear. You don't go from stage 1 to stage 10 and then you graduate and that's it. People started having a name for what they were experiencing. And they come up to me and they say, I'm on stage 4, I'm working on stage 5, I'm excited to get to stage 8. Like, there's a name for what they're going through. Because we're all doing this together, and we're all experiencing the same things. We underestimate how social we are. We underestimate that we are social creatures and that our need to belong is everything. And we underestimate that when our family reacts the way they do to the changes we make, it's not because they're opposed to us doing the right thing. It's not because they don't like us. It's not because they're angry. It's because they feel threatened. That everything that you shared together, or that they taught you, or that you experienced, your family, your history, your identity, now you're just rejecting it. So there is a lot to say around that. And a lot of it is just understanding that. And holding that when you're talking to family and friends. And knowing that it has nothing to do with you. And practicing not taking it personally. And practicing saying, well, I'm going to do it anyway, and how can I help you so that you understand that this has nothing to do with you, my dear family member, right? That this is not a reflection on you, and it's not an attack on you, and it's not a rejection of you.
Thanks for watching.
Don't forget to subscribe for more videos from the Sedona Vegfest 2020.